Guys, today we are diving into a situation that many people think they are too smart, too aware, or too experienced to fall for until it happens to them. This isn't just one person's story. This is a reflection of a pattern we keep seeing repeat itself across the world. A pattern built on trust, emotional vulnerability, confidence, tricks, and the illusion of love. What happened here wasn't an accident. It was calculated. It was intentional, and it was designed to work on the kind of person who believes in love, hopes for partnership, and wants to see the best in others. We've seen this storyline before in documentaries like the Tinder Swindler, yet somehow people continue to miss the warning signs. So today, we are not retelling every moment. We are breaking down the psychology, the red flags, and the lessons that could save someone from, financial and emotional ruin.
So we have all heard of the Nigerian prince scammer, but who's ever heard of a Danish prince scammer? What the hell? There's this trending story called the Danish deception, where this lady says her husband scammed her and her family out of 350 or so thousand dollars. Yeah, she met this dude randomly and she fell in love with him, and he said he's a Danish prince or royalty. He was an Olympian, only to find out that this dude is a gambling addict with nothing but his height and his Lord Farquaad face. As a Nigerian woman, how do you let that happen? You're meant to be an expert when it comes to avoiding scams. You're Nigerian, bro. You're surrounded by scammers in your country. You know what I mean? The government scams you. People around you want to scam you. And you're rich as well. So it means you know how to avoid and to preserve your wealth. So how do you let some random tall Danish dude fool you? Huh? I don't get it. Is it the race? Is it the height? Because I'm pretty sure if it was a black dude, same height, come to you and says he's a Nigerian prince from the Edo or Yoruba, you'll be like, hell no, you're chatting nonsense. I know you're lying without even fact checking. So why did you not fact check for this dude? Huh? To make matters worse, he scammed other black women, yeah? Some black American, some other African ladies. I'm like, Jesus Christ, black ladies, come on. Have some self-respect.
I watched somebody say that they don't think race had anything to do with what happened in the Danish deception, and I completely disagree. I don't even think race was a background detail. I think it's the structure that made this entire situation possible. Literally, the whole time I watched this 25-part series, I kept asking myself, how is this possible? How did he get away with all of this? And in the end, the only conclusion that made sense was that his race had everything to do with it.
The thing that really triggered me about the story was the friends. You're telling me the friends couldn't talk to each other and be like, yo, he borrowed money from me and he hasn't paid it back. Or they couldn't call her to the side and be like, hey, I hope everything's great, but I've seen on your Instagram that you're in, Colombia, you're in Paris, you're here and there, but your husband did borrow £3,000 from me. When is that man going to pay it back? None of them could have brought her aside to ask. That's the part of the story that I don't understand. Like, they must be super wealthy that £3,000 was not a lot of money for them. To add to that, they must be super wealthy. The friend that borrowed 150k, but the inflation made it 200 to 300 based on crypto, never told her when is he gonna pay back. Then the other guy who was his mentor didn't reach out to her and be like, what's going on? These are seriously wealthy people. Like, take away from the fact that, she's on The Bachelor and all this stuff. She surrounded herself with seriously wealthy people. Because how did none of them ask for their money back? She had to reach out to them to be like, did he scam you? Are we missing this thing? This huge. This is huge. Her social circle must be so elite that they never reached out to her to get their money back. That's the part of the story that blows my mind. Completely blows my mind. My nosy ass would have been on her Instagram page taking screenshots saying, hey, he needs to pay back, or you need to pay back, or one of y'all needs to pay back. And this is precisely why I wrote Single to Engage in 1 year, a no-nonsense book that helps you secure the ring faster, but I should have written and smarter. For instance, look, don't trust any man. Regardless of ethnicity, all men are the same. If she'd seen that, she would have realized that anyone can con her, not just men of certain ethnicities. Another thing, if she'd known, never marry a man out of pity or desperation, she would have known that, bruh, something is off here. I don't want to give him no passport by marrying him quickly so he can stay. Again, abuse is not okay. Leave the first time. Have a courage to walk away from what doesn't feel good. She didn't leave him. She didn't initiate the divorce until he said he didn't want to be married anymore. Again, never tell a man how much you earn. These are just one of 100 gems in this book. Single to engage in 1 year. I don't want to hear another one of these Risa Tisa stories, Danish deception. All of these women, single to engage in 1 year. All of these women, single to engage in 1 year. None of this stuff would be happening. Buy the book. And then she kept saying at the start of it that her and her sister are very close. And I can believe that they're very close. But we are not close enough that I can't tell you that your husband owes me money. He borrowed the first time and paid back and I never told you? How? How? And then the parents, he borrowed from the parents and never told you? Like none of y'all talking to each other? How? How close are you that you guys don't discuss? This is why I say that they can't be first generation Nigerian. They just can't. They just can't. I don't know these people from Adam, but they just can't be first generation. The point that everyone keeps making on this site is about him being white and how can a white guy scam a Nigerian? Nigerians are scammers. Pause right there. Nigerians have only been scamming for the last 100 years. If that. White men have been scamming since the 1600s. These white chocolate niggas have been scamming since the 1600s. They monopolized the whole world. They got the whole world to think that they were the height of society. They went around cutting up Africa. They went around doing 400 years of slavery. They went around doing all these shambolic things that they've now convinced all of us to forget about it and project on new upcoming countries where there's crime going on, like Colombia, like several parts of Africa and Congo and whatnot, when they invented fraud. They invented fraud. So let's stop with the whole Nigerian narrative on Nigerian scammers. Nigerians have not been scamming for more than 100 years. They haven't. And until y'all wake up and realize that the majority of Nigerians are not criminals. Yes, their politicians are. I will never sit here and say that they're not. Like, the politicians are the most corrupt. And I see several celebrities and their kids who are like, oh, come from, money and Nepo babies. If your parents have any ties or grandparents have any ties with the government in Nigeria or in Africa, then you're a product of fraud and deception. You're a product of theft and thievery. It's in your genes. It's in your bloodline. And the sons of the father, y'all will pay for it. Least I deviate. Okay, so let's not sit here and say, oh no, that we can't believe she was scammed by Nigerians, because most Nigerians are not fraudsters.
And also about this Danish deception thing, I think this proves another thing that Black Americans know. It's a certain few nationalities, some in Asia, some in Africa, that would do anything for a tall blonde white man. They in the comments saying that man was facially challenged. He looked like a blonde Lord Farquaad. And I promise you this, if a Black American man would have told that girl, yeah, my family, we got millions and billions of dollars, and we can go to any hotel you want, we can do whatever you want, and I don't FaceTime for real, should have been like, boy, please.
Now, here's what stands out to me the most about this situation. The scam didn't work because the lie was good. It worked because the emotional setup was perfect. This is the part people underestimate. Scammers don't target weak people. They target hopeful people. People who want connection. People who want to, build something real. People whose hearts soften when someone shows them, when someone shows them attention, consistency, or even affection. The manipulation always starts with charm, the quick connection, the intense communication. The future faking, talking long-term plans before short-term truth is even established. And then slowly, softly, requests begin. It's the same formula we saw in the Tinder Swindler. A man presenting himself as wealthy, structured, established, then claiming his money is temporarily tied up, and the truth is, a lot of people forget to ask questions when the person seems trustworthy. That is how these scams survive, on appearance, confidence, and silence. But now, let's dig into the deeper lessons, because this situation goes far beyond one bad decision. The real issue here is not the scam itself. The real issue is the psychology behind why this keeps happening to intelligent, educated, emotionally aware adults. Let's start with one simple truth. The first one is love bombing. It's not love, it's a strategy. When someone shows you so much affection so quickly and with so much intensity, that is it isn't romance. That is conditioning. Scammers overwhelm you with attention because they want you, they want your guard down. They want your logic to dim. They want you to associate them with dopamine, comfort, and even security. By the time the request for money comes, you feel too emotionally invested, attached to question it. This is why these stories happen more often than we even admit. Now, let's talk about something uncomfortable but very necessary. We trust certain people more because of how they look or present. This part is crucial. Many people unconsciously associate European features, certain accents, or polished presentations with credibility. Someone who looks like they belong to money gets fewer questions asked of them. That is how lies slip through. Not because the victim is naive, but because society teaches us to trust certain group of people. It's manipulation hiding behind social conditioning. And to be honest, this is exactly why the Tinder Swindler was such a global phenomenon. Why? Because it showed in 4K clarity how a man can weaponize luxury imagery, private jets, expensive suits, fancy dinners without owning any of it. Which brings me to the next point, which is number 3. If a wealthy person needs your money, they are not wealthy. Let's be clear. Someone who truly has money does not need emergency loan from a romantic partner they barely know. Wealthy individuals have family money, they have lawyers, credit lines, bankers, business partners, assets insurance, liquidity options. There is no scenario, none, where a millionaire asks a new romantic interest for financial help. So when someone comes to you with the line, my accounts are frozen, my money is tied up, I just need a small loan, this is temporary, that is not a red flag. That is a red billboard with flashing lights, sirens, fireworks, and smoke machines. The request for secrecy is the deadliest red flag. Scammers will always say, don't tell anyone. This is between us. People won't understand. This is, private. Secrecy is the oxygen of manipulation. It isolates the victim. It removes outside perspectives, and it prevents friends and family from shutting down the scam alley. If someone says, don't tell anyone, you should tell everyone. Something else, accountability doesn't mean shaming, it means learning. It's easy for the internet to laugh at people who get scammed, but judgment doesn't help anyone. What helps is reflection. If you ever find yourself asking, how could she fall for that? Flip the question, how could someone be so emotionally strategic that they made her feel safe enough to? This reframing matters because it shifts blame off the victim and onto the person who weaponized trust. Another thing is, watch the warning signs life gives you. This story is not just a warning, it's a mirror. It reminds us that love should never be rushed, secrecy should never be accepted, and trust should never be given without verification. And honestly, we cannot ignore the fact that the Tinder Swindler was a masterclass in exactly this type of deception. It was a global wake-up call. It taught us what romantic financial manipulation looks like. Yet, somehow, some people still think that, could never happen to me. But the truth is, it can happen to anyone who leads with compassion before caution. And compassion is a beautiful thing. But compassion without boundaries is vulnerability. Vulnerability without discernment is danger. So here's the final message to all of you guys. I want to live with you. Do not let loneliness, attraction or hope override logic. Do not romanticize someone's story so much that you ignore their behavior. And please do not assume that confidence equals character. Protect your heart, protect your bank account, because scammers are everywhere, and all they need is one moment of emotional weakness to change your life. So stay aware, grounded, and most importantly, in conversations like this. Guys, drop a comment. Let me know what are your thoughts. Also, remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.